When Valentina first came into our emergency department, she could easily be missed as a simple food poisoning or dehydration. But looking at her, seeing her blood test results, we felt we had a ticking bomb here.
That day, some of my staff went out to pick mushrooms in the woods. I used those mushrooms to cook a pot of soup, and I suggested we will all eat together. While I was cooking, I was tasting the mushrooms and breathing the steam from the soup. And that's why I probably got so sick. That evening, I started to feel dizzy. I began throwing up and my body was in pain. In the local clinic, they gave me some fluids and sent me home. But I was still getting worse and worse.
My mom called me and said she was feeling very sick. She usually never complains about anything, so I left immediately for Jerusalem.
We arrived at Hadassah Har Tzofim campus and went straight to the ER. They got me a bed, and after that, I have no memory of what occurred.
It's all about connecting the dots just to diagnose her as severe mushroom intoxication with cardiogenic shock was a game changer for her. And we expected the deterioration, and actually that happened, that really happened.
One of the doctors told me my mom was not doing well, that her only chance of surviving this would be at the Hadassah and Karim campus, and that she had to be transferred there right away.
Valentina was transferred here to in Karim campus. Once she was here, we got the on-call cardiologist to come here immediately. The nephrologist was also here on spot, and the cardiothoracic surgeon was already alerted. Her respiratory condition was deteriorating rapidly. Minutes after we ventilated her, she practically collapsed. She had arrhythmias which were life-threatening, and she needed a lot of electrical shocks for us to restore her pulse. A patient that young, that fit, came in so sick, and she's deteriorating in front of my eyes. I remember calling the emergency department to ask for interns and residents to come and help me compress the heart, because this was one CPR that I wasn't planned on failing.
They told us that they must put her to sleep and that she needs to be ventilated, and they let us say goodbye to her. I just threw myself at her, hugged her and kissed her and cried so much. I just couldn't let go, till one of the doctors just pulled me away and told me, "I need to save your mom right now. We're going to keep her alive."
Valentina was unconscious for the first 10 days or so.
She had a very severe toxic myocarditis, which is an inflammation of the heart muscle.
She needed dialysis and other treatments, during which she was on ECMO for 5 days, and she was receiving a lot of medications and other treatments.
When I saw she was moving her hands and feet a little, I knew she was fighting to come back. I was talking to her the whole time, telling her she can't give up. A mother who hears her child calling her just can't stop fighting to get well. She couldn't leave me by myself.
I woke up after 5 weeks in the Hadassah and Karim campus. I saw my family around me and how happy they were.
A couple of months ago, I called her daughter to try and follow up about her condition. And she told me that a week before, she went to a concert with her mother and she couldn't stop crying. And she thanked us very much for what we did. And that was very touching to me, and I think I still have tears in my eyes saying it.
I'm so grateful to all the doctors, nurses, and the whole staff of Hadassah Mount Scopus and Hadassah and Karim for saving me and for working so hard, days and nights. I would like to thank them all for giving me my life back.
It was the morning shift, and the in-charge midwife came to me and she said, "We just got a call from Madda. There is a highly suspected positive COVID woman in the way, and she's in labor. And I don't know who to send." And I told her, "Don't worry, Kathy, I'm going." There was no question about it. I mean, there's a job to do and I will do it. I got dressed, all the layers of protection, gowns and uniforms, and we went to accept her. It was like different territory. We didn't know anything. It was like question marks all over. And one thing that guided me is that I don't want that woman to be afraid of me because I'm covered. She can't see my face, she can't see my smile. And yet, I want to be there for her. Once Gila arrived, I went outside and Gila went inside to be with a woman, and she remained inside until the birth. I was outside and preparing everything for the baby.
So I walked in the room and explained to her that I'm Gila, I'm your midwife, and I will not leave you, ever.
She was amazingly nice woman.
She completely understood that everyone around her was there for her. She worked entirely with us. Just as we were in a completely new realm, she as well was in a new realm. I explained to her the recommendations. No one would ever do anything against her will. I explained to her that we didn't know how dangerous COVID might be for her unborn child. I explained to her that our recommendation was to separate her, no touch, no kisses, no hugs. And that was very, very hard for her. We talked about that for a long time. And also she's in pain, she's having a baby. I said, what do you want? What can we do to make this easier? She said, I would like to take a picture, and I want to count his fingers and toes, and I want to make sure that he's okay. And that's what we did. The baby came out, I held up the baby for her. She took a picture on her phone. We counted his tiny fingers and toes, cried. And I handed it to Noah. And that was really hard. After she delivered, she went up to a special isolated unit, and hours later we discovered that she was positive for COVID-19, and we had realized that we had just delivered the first COVID-19 birth in the country.
She remained in that ward for another 10 days. And because the entire family was also positive for COVID, the baby was in the nursery for all these 10 days.
The nurses took pictures of the baby daily, sent her pictures daily where she was, were in touch with her daily on a personal basis to show her her baby. And when it was understood that she or no one in her family could be at her child's Brit Milah.
So the entire organization took the initiative to organize the Brit here in Hadassah. I handed the baby to the rabbi, and it was very important for me because I felt all the time that I was the hand that take the baby from his mom. At least I can be the one to do it for mitzvah. They named the baby Raphael. They gave him the name of Healing Angel. And I believe it's because of the story of his birth.
Next to every single COVID-19 positive woman stood a midwife. And I am profoundly proud to be part of a hospital system that ran towards the fight and not away from it. And every single woman who gave birth in Hadassah got the highest standard of care. And never once did Hadassah close its doors to any birthing woman, regardless of her medical history or of the raging pandemic that was happening outside our doors. It is an honor to have been part of this time in history, and I wouldn't change it for anything.